Hey, thank you for joining me. Almost forgot my name. That's not good. I'm Stephen Peterson. I don't know your name, but I should know mine. That's the first test they give you on TV. What's your own name? I'm Stephen Peterson. This program is called Patterns for Progress. It's talking about patterns and routines and habits, and it can seem so mundane. It's not, I like immediate things. I like powerful things. I like suddenly things. Let's do something that works in under 30 seconds and changes everything. But you know where we live? We live in patterns. We live in habits. We live in routines. And that's what this program is about. And so we're going to go over, I've got a couple of stories to tell you about different people and how changing one pattern changed their life. I want to tell you, if you want something different out of life, I'm almost certain you're going to have to take something you do today, something you have today, and sacrifice it, invest it, get rid of it, whether it's time or energy or effort or money. Something you do today must be given up to get the tomorrow you want. Now, you can keep doing the same thing over and over and hoping and praying and wishing upon a star, but it's just like a farmer planting corn and praying for watermelon to come up. You're going to have to change the seed. In this case, the seed is the pattern. It's the habit. You can be stuck and you can have somebody say, man, you are lousy in this area, but you change one pattern, one habit, one routine, and you can become an expert at something you used to fail at. You're just one pattern. I'm not going to guarantee this, but I believe you're one pattern away from having a whole different life. And again, if you want to get a hold of me, Stephen Peterson, patternsforprogress@gmail.com. Had a couple of lists last week. If you emailed me, I would send them to you or send you the link. Do the same thing. I won't go through those lists because we're going to do something else. I'm going to rattle off. Let me tell you, honor is a pattern. Whether you honor your mother or father, or honor your marriage, or honor your boss, honor the government. Dishonor is a pattern. I don't trust anybody and I don't like anybody and everybody's trying to rip me off. If there's nobody in your life that you honor, you've got an empty life. And you've got a life where you're judging people way too harshly. Every one of us has flaws. Every one of us has an agenda. An agenda isn't a bad thing. Hidden agendas are bad things. But honor is a pattern that can get you in the about the middle 70s. I woke up one day and said, man, I'm tired of beating my head on this brick wall. And the only thing that came to me is I should try to honor my mother and father. It's something I remembered from the Bible, and my mom and dad, good people. They passed on a long time ago, but I had a hardworking dad and the sweetest mom. Now, they drove me crazy. They didn't think like I did. They didn't think like the 60s and the 70s, thank God. My dad went to work every day, and I was really struggling. And I said, you know, I didn't realize how important patterns, routines, and habits were at the time. So I decided I'm going to change one. I'm going to start to honor my mother and father. And I remember the first Mother's Day, I think it was 1975, maybe 1976, that I was doing this. And I went to a little place, it's still in business in the canyons up there in Ogden. In fact, Ogden Canyon. It's called Rainbow Gardens. And they had little plants. I believe they were 79 cents. And I had $1 to my name. And they had free little cards. So I thought, man, I'm giving up everything. I bought that little 79-cent plant, wrote on the card, Mom, I love you, appreciate all you've done for me. When I gave it to her, she began to cry. And I said, oh, man, I did good. And she goes, how much longer do you have to live? And she thought I was going to die any day, and that's what I was doing, making amends. She couldn't believe me. I said, well, no, I'm just trying to honor you and Dad. And man, my dad and I were two Norwegians, and we just butted heads like two old goats, or in this case, a young goat and an old goat, older goat. But I should have been smarter. But let me tell you what happened. Along comes somebody. I'm going to school part-time. I'm working part-time. I'm starving full-time. Somebody said I was too poor to pay attention. And I ran into a friend. And I don't want to use his real name. I don't know if he's dead or alive, but let's just call him Stan. That's not his name. So if you know a Stan, hey, was that you? And this guy was just as broke as I was and just as unhappy. Man, everybody was holding me down. Everybody was holding him down. But I'd started to work on this thing, at least occasionally, to honor my mother and father. And this guy, but he came from a whole different world I came from. And he said, man, my dad, he kicked me out and he disowned me. And well, his dad didn't kick him out. This guy had gotten mad at his father. And his father wanted him to recognize, not honor, just recognize, hey, wait a minute. He had a nice car. He had a nice place to live, but everything was paid for by his dad because this guy was working for his dad. Well, it was the 60s, 70s, man. We didn't like capitalism. We didn't like success. When I say we, me and the people I hung around with. Of course, we're all broke, busted, and disgusted, too. So I shared with him, hey, I tried this with my dad. I'm trying this with my dad. I did this the rest of my father's life, but it hadn't become a pattern yet. It was kind of like an experiment. And I said, what would you do in order to honor your father? And he said, there's only one thing I would do that my dad wants and I won't do. I said, what's that? He said he would like me to go to him and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. Take it back. I don't expect you to rehire me. I don't expect any of the family fortune. And so we talked it over. I don't know, days, weeks. And I don't think he did it because of me, but I'm doing this. Well, when he finally went back and told his dad he was sorry, his dad not only took him back, hired him at a much better position, paid off oh man, this guy had gotten into such debt over some really stupid decisions involving drugs, paid that all off. I didn't see him for several weeks, and when I did, he no longer looked like me. He wasn't starving. He wasn't broke. He changed one thing. And he said, really, the part that got to me is you said that. Well, I'm giving my mother a 79-cent plant. But, hey, I had $1 to my name. I'm trying with my dad. All I could do was try not to argue. Come on. Two Norwegians, we're like the same end of do you guys anybody ever play with magnets? You get the same end, two north ends, and well, that's what we were. Well, it turns out in my case, I had the last 10 years of my dad's life, I had the greatest relationship. I almost became the dad. I bought him things and did things for him. But you know what happened in that period? I didn't get instantly wealthy like my friend did, but my dad didn't have that kind of money. He went back, and I don't know what happened to him after I saw him, man, the car he had. I'm driving something, the paint looked like a black hole. When sun would hit it, it would just be absorbed. This guy was driving something new, but his life changed because he changed one pattern, one habit, one routine. He told his dad he was sorry. He was sorry for being mad at him. Now, I told my dad I was sorry, but I had to, if you if you do something for 25, 26 years, one card won't do it. When I'm sorry, I had to change the habit of honoring my mother and my father. Instead of pointing out their flaws and, boy, I wish you were this and I wish you that. No, I started honoring them for what they were. I've got, I wouldn't call him a friend, but it's somebody I've met this year. And he told me, again, that's why I like to hear from you at patternsforprogress@gmail.com. Tell me a pattern that's worked for you, a change in habit, a change in routine. And in this case, he was very, very successful as a radio announcer and newscaster. Don't believe he did television, but he worked in 2 of the 4 biggest markets in the United States and was making a lot of money, but he was getting bored because he felt like he was doing the same thing over and over. And so there was a job that was just totally different than anything he had. He said, man, I want this. And he went to the audition. And I mean, this guy's making a boatload of money in the radio and TV and ads, mostly radio, some TV, but ads, doing voiceovers. And he didn't get the job. And he went back to the person who was hiring and said, why didn't you hire me? I mean, he has a lot of confidence. He said, I was perfect at this. And they said, well, if we wanted an announcer, you'd be perfect. But we wanted a storyteller. And the only way he read copy was as an announcer. You know what he did? He started hanging around every storyteller he could find. The person who didn't hire him and other people. And before you know it, this guy did voiceovers in movies. His entire life changed. If you give him the copy as an announcer, he reads it one way. Hey, there's a big sale. But if you give copy to a storyteller, they take time for pauses. He changed one thing. He was very, very good. He didn't change something he was bad at. He changed one thing, and his life changed. Well, as far as I could tell, forever. One change. And I'm telling you, something you're doing today is the price to get what you want to have tomorrow. There's something today. If you don't change it, if you don't give it up, if you don't invest it, whether it's time, it's effort. I'm going to tell you a quick story about me. I love radio, and I'm starting to love television, but I love radio. But I stepped aside from radio when I finally had children. I didn't have children until I was older. And I said at the time I did it for my kids because I wanted to be a good dad, because I knew what kind of person I had been before. And I thought, man, I don't want to do that as a dad. Now, maybe I could have changed. But you know why I really did it? I did it for selfish reasons. I did it because I loved being around my kids. Now, maybe you had kids when you were younger and you didn't have time to enjoy them. But something happened. My eyes were opened. I said, man, I've got an opportunity that I can't even imagine that I deserved. And so I took 20 years of my life. And when I say I invested in my kids, I invested it in me. Now, I still had to work, and maybe if you ask my kids, I wasn't around, but I was around a lot more than I thought I'd be. But I didn't do it for them. I did it for me. And I still miss them being little. And they're big and they're successful. When I say big, they're grown up and successful. But I still miss those times doing little simple things together. I did it for me. But I gave up something to get something else I wanted. There's something in your daily routine. There's something in your daily habits. There's something in today that you can give up. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's effort. Maybe it's time to study. Maybe it's time to reflect and create. I don't know what it is. But I'm telling you, change one pattern, you can change the rest of your life. So make sure it's something you want. You know, sometimes the things we want out of being insecure and just not feeling valuable to people. And man, if I made all this money, if I got all this fame. No. You change one pattern. And I'm telling you, patterns are no respecter of people. Maybe I don't have a friend in high places, and I don't have an influential friend, and I don't have a friend with a lot of money. A pattern is a great equalizer. You identify one pattern you need to throw out, one thing you need to stop doing, and start doing something new today in a small way, incremental. What was that, Neil Armstrong? One small step. That's all you need is one small step. Start doing something today, and it'll open up a door to a brand new tomorrow. I've got less than a minute, so I want to tell you, I'm Stephen Peterson. I'd really like to hear from you. It should be on the screen, patternsforprogress@gmail.com. Tell me where you're succeeding. Tell me where you're struggling. Tell me how it helped you. Tell me what you wish you'd done. But let me hear from you. patternsforprogress@gmail.com. patternsforprogress@gmail.com. Soon we'll be on YouTube, but right now, every Sunday morning, you can watch us, and I appreciate those who do. And if you're willing to do so, I'll see you next Sunday or soon on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching.